What is going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. We have some wicked news today. We finally have information regarding the brand new update with Grand Voyage, level limit break, and even more stuff that we had absolutely no idea about. So let's go ahead and jump into it today. We're not going to mess about. We have a lot of information to go through. Major version update 12.0 starting April 26th PST time. So we're just going to jump straight into the infographic that they've given us here today. We're going to go through that. We'll go through exactly when the maintenance is so you guys know exactly when to expect it, and I will likely be live streaming when the maintenance period concludes, as Grand Voyage will make its debut in the game. Let's start off with the first notice here. I couldn't believe what I was reading when I saw this for the first time. Super Tandem is here. So it's kind of interesting because I did make a video, the lesson time Optc series, last week, talking about, literally very briefly in that video, about the tandem mechanic. And lo and behold, they're introducing a new variation of this mechanic that has basically been untouched since the game's inception, which is honestly really cool to see. But you guys will see in this little infographic that it has shreds of final tap, a little bit of sprinkle of final tap put into this, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But Super Tandem's here. Unleash powerful tandems. Super Tandem and Tandem is ready. So you can see that in the icon, there's a brand new Sabo character that's going to be debuting. Now, if I had to take a guess, I would say that this Sabo is a free-to-play character, and there's a couple of different instances as to why I think that. We'll get to that in a moment. Now, it says, after meeting certain requirements during a quest, you can launch Super Tandem when tandem slots appear on the required characters. So, for those of you who have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about, Tandem is a mechanic that meant that if you have very specific characters in your crew, and one of those set characters have a tandem slot, when you attack in a certain order, you will get a certain buff activated. So basically, it would be a lot of story mode characters back when the game first came out, like Chef Zeph, Pate, and Kane, or like Don Krieg, Gin, and, Pearl, for example. There's a bunch of them, a bunch of the story mode Straw Hats all had them as well. And essentially, if you attacked in a certain order, you would get a certain effect to activate. Now, back when the game first came out, these effects were terrible. Some would be like, the rest of your chain gets like a 1.1 times attack boost. Or, it does like 3 times this character's attack to all characters in AoE damage. Really weird stuff like that. But this has a lot of room to grow. This could be like the new best mechanic in the game, We know with Final Tap it's pretty incredible, but if they have something like Super Tandem, where you attack with certain characters and then you can get some buff to be activated either on activation or for the rest of your attacking characters, this has some really cool implications, right? We've also got the little informational piece here saying that, attack with good, then perfect, and then great. You don't have to attack in that tap order, but it literally just says, as long as you attack good or better, you're going to be able to activate the tandem mechanic to launch a powerful and amazing Super Tandem effect. And you see this little icon here, the little picture, Super Tandem. You've got the new Sabo character, you've got Koala, and you've got Morley. So all of those characters are related to each other in the fact that they're from the Revolutionary Army. But all of these characters on this artwork, aside from Sabo because we don't know about him yet, but I have a feeling that the Sabo is free to play because the Koala and the Morley in this picture are also free to play. The way that I think this is going to work is it's going to be like, you'll have a requirement to fulfill in order to activate the tandem mechanic. And for Sabo, it might just be attacking with a Koala and a Morley. Now, it's not very specific as to what type of Koala or what type of Morley. So you can literally use any type of character in the game. That would be my guess, because if they require you to use summonable characters, I believe that has, a little bit of implications with the Japanese gacha lore and stuff like that. So I think that it's just going to be, use any Koala or any Morley, you attack in the certain order, good or better, you'll get an effect to be activated. That's what I assume it's going to be like, which is really cool in one fashion, but also on the other hand, you have to think about that means that your team building may have to change depending on the character that you have. Also, the fact that they're introducing this right now leads me to believe that the anniversary character or characters will have this mechanic, okay? So that's pretty interesting. Blast away enemies with the Super Tandem. Unlocking the Super Tandems, and this is what I was saying about Final Tap. You have to level it up via your potential ability. So it does appear that it's going to be a you know, potential ability, just like Final Tap, and likely the higher the level, the better tandem mechanic you're going to get access to for that character. So this is interesting, and I think it's nice that they are straying away from Final Tap a little bit, because I mean, they released Luffy in the Straw Hats. It's by far and away the best Final Tap in the game, and it's by a very large margin. So I think that this is a good idea for them to try something different, where you can use the tandem mechanic earlier on in your tap timings. You know, the first 3 characters can be your super tandem, and then the final 3 characters can be doing something else. You could still have a Final Tap and a super tandem activated in the same chain. That's actually pretty cool to think about, right? So I don't know how this is going to work. Plus, another thing about super tandem, or at least with regular tandem, you can activate it at any point during the quest, as long as one of the required characters has a tandem slot. The fact that this is available now, if this is activatable through every piece of content, through every stage, this also has a lot going for it. I'm very excited to see what this is all about. Tap on the Super Tandem button to see the details, of course, very similar to Final Tap. So, Super Tandem, we don't know much about it right now. We have, obviously, an idea as how it works, but we don't know what the effects are. We don't know what other characters are going to get access to this in the future. It has a lot going for it, that's for sure. Just below that, it mentions level limit break. This is the feature that was announced quite a while back, and we've been speculating for all these months about what is it going to be. Well, now we know that it will raise a character's max level with the level limit break. So you can see this Final Tap Luffy going from level 99 to 110. That's pretty bizarre. And you think about that, that's actually 11 levels that you need to level. So they did mention 10 in like the little version update thing a while back. Now, I don't know how that's going to work. Maybe one of them, the first level goes from 99 to 100. And I'm not too sure how it works exactly. But the fact that you've got access to this means that a character goes from level 99 to 110, which would mean that their stats would somewhat increase. We don't know how big of a statistical increase it's going to be, but a stat boost nonetheless should be. We don't know that for sure, but it should be. But right below this, it mentions that their special, captain ability, rumble stats, and crewmate ability may become stronger. This is exactly what we wanted to see. I was so worried that this level limit break was going to be terrible and they just give a character stats. The fact that they have come out and said that characters will get upgrades on basically every front is so good. Now, of course, support effects are not updated, which I think is something that probably should have been mentioned, because there are some characters that really deserve to get their support effects updated to add new characters to their listings. So it is unfortunate that that's not the case, but either way, this is a good way to moving forward, just to see some older characters potentially get some really nice buffs, and I really hope that that's exactly what they went for, because some characters are absolutely awful and need some type of a buff, and they've even got limit break expansions. They can't go any further, so this might be a new way to give those characters the required buffs that they need. So in order to get access to level limit break, you have to use same characters from the same evolution tree, or level limit break materials, and we'll be able to get access to these materials via Grand Voyage, which we'll be talking about in just a moment. But this is pretty much what we already knew, and of course all of those red tickets that are coming at the start of May for, depending on what pirate level you're at, all of those legend tickets are going to be very useful for level limit breaking a bunch of those characters, a bunch of those legend tickets, so definitely look forward to that. And now we have a brief look at Grand Voyage, set sail through the story with more challenges to take on. So now we have missions. Each quest will have multiple missions to complete, and it looks like there's going to be 5 missions per level, I suppose. As the mission level becomes harder, the mission requirements will become more difficult. Try to take on the mission you feel comfortable completing. So if we have a look at these images real closely, we can see on the image on the left, it mentions that, you know, mission level 1 out of 5, the first mission says, just clear the quest, just clear it. The one below that, level 2, mentions having 6 side characters on your crew, and it looks like clear the quest. And then below that again, in that same level, increases enemy turns and increases enemy HP. Now, when it says increase enemy turns, does that mean that their cooldown gets reduced, or does it mean that they're adding like an additional stage or something? Not too sure about that. But then the third level of the mission says you need to have 6 cerebral characters in your crew, and you clear the quest, but then it says additional enemy behavior, so it's going to be more difficult, as well as the increased enemy HP. And right below that, you can barely see it, but level 4, you have additional enemy behavior times 2, as well as increased enemy HP. and we can't see level 5, but I assume level 5 is also going to be pretty difficult. So that's pretty interesting, and I would assume that you'll be able to clear multiple of these missions straight off the bat. Like, hypothetically, what if you have a full team of 6 Psy characters, and all of those Psy characters are also cerebral? That will be able to clear mission 3, 2, and 1 simultaneously. Technically mission 4 if you're able to clear that as well, depending on the additional gimmicks. So this is kind of cool. It really promotes creative team building, which is exactly what we wanted to see. And we don't know how many missions are available from the jump, but we hope that there's a pretty decent amount that we can get through. And if you also look on the image as well, it does mention mission rewards as well as there are guides. So you can see kind of what gimmicks you have to take on in the Grand Voyage mission. But that's cool, okay? And we really need to see what kind of rewards we get access to, because that will really determine whether or not this is a worthwhile game mode to invest in. So we'll have to wait and see. But I'm excited to jump into it nonetheless. It sounds really, really cool. So every time you complete a mission in Grand Voyage, you're going to get access to mission points. And depending on how many mission points you get, you will get certain rewards. And you can see here that you've got bounty, you've got gems, and the middle item here with the red poster and the gold ticket, those are the level limit break materials. I don't know what they're called yet, but it's the way to level limit break your character. But I believe that this same material can also be replaced with a dupe. So you either use a duplicate character or you use this material in order to get access to level limit break, which makes perfect sense. Right below the Grand Voyage stuff, it mentions bounty ranking, where you compete in a ranking of personal and alliance bounty. Ranking will be calculated and updated monthly. Reach the high seas with your alliance. Don't know what that's about, but it looks like, you know, depending on your personal ranking, how much you know, bounty you personally have, as well as how much does your alliance have. So having alliance members that have a lot of bounty is going to be very beneficial for you and your team in order to get more rewards. Now, I don't know what type of rewards are going to be available here, but it's cool that they're adding this. This is honestly should have been in from jump. Don't know why this wasn't available from the start of Pirate Alliance, but it's a nice touch. And then also mentioning a Rainbow Gem Bazaar is going to be added to the Rayleigh's Bazaar. So there's going to be a new type of shop that you can just straight up use Rainbow Gems to purchase items. Don't know what that's going to be about, whether it's going to be a literal 1-for-1 exact same as the Rayleigh shop, but instead of using Rayleigh points, you can use gems instead. Don't know what that's going to be about. Maybe they'll add certain characters there, potentially, not too sure. It just seems a bit weird. I don't know why they would do that after all this time. If it's a 1-for-1 the same as the Rayleigh's Bazaar, I think that's fine. But if they start adding super specific stuff in there, that might be a little bit sketchy. Right at the very bottom, it goes through a couple of different dot points. It says existing Tandem prior to the version update will no longer be available. So RIP to the original Tandem mechanic. You've done as well, but we're going to be moving forward with the Super Tandem mechanic instead. Certain characters will not have level limit break. Characters with level limit break unlocked will require less Ink Effect Pen Ink Bottle L to unlock a visual effect. That is actually pretty interesting. So if you have a character with max level limit break, you're going to require less ink bottles to get their visual effect. That's kind of cool. I'm not too sure how much less it's going to be. I assume every level of limit break requires 1 less ink bottle to get. That's going to be my just straight up assumption. I don't think it's going to be free, but that's kind of cool either way. I like that. I like that. Characters from the same evolution tree will provide 100% chance special level up chance when used for power up from this version update. That is a very, very cool idea, especially with the introduction of the level limit break. You can just straight up pull a dupe, level it straight away, get a skill up, get a socket, get a potential level up, and also get their level limit break. That's wicked. I really love that change, and that is going to be great for newer players moving forward as well. Really, really good. Grand Voyage will be unlocked at level 170. You can challenge a higher tier mission level for Grand Voyage before completing mission level 1. That is fantastic. It means it's going to open up a lot of doors for creative team building for completing all 5 quests with one team. I assume that's going to be pretty cool, okay? Just like we saw earlier where you can have a full team of side characters that are all cerebral, and that literally clears 4 missions in one. That's a possibility for sure. So version 12 looks absolutely wicked, and there's also a very brief notice from the admin saying that certain shop items are going to be discontinued. So you've got a Kizuna Potion set, as well as Limit Break set, and an Absolute Almighty set. I don't know, the Kizuna Potion set's typically pretty good, so I don't know why they'd be removing that one. I'm not really a big fan of that, unless if they have their own Kizuna sales or stuff like that. We'll have to wait and see, but that's pretty cool. Anyways, in the important tab, it actually gives us a bit more information regarding the time. So April 25th, 9 AM PST time, all the way until April 26th at midnight, or the end of April 25th is when this update is going to be concluded. And as I said, I will be live streaming when this comes out, so definitely look forward to it. And in the version update details, it goes through exactly what we get, but everything listed here was what we talked about. There are a couple of other interesting tidbits, but nothing really too crazy and out of the blue. But I'm just super excited to jump into it and see what Grand Voyage is all about. I'm super intrigued about the Super Tandem mechanic. We had no idea what it was about. And another thing, I really want to see, how powerful is level limit break? Is it going to make characters that never saw play absolutely broken? I really hope so. Like, I hope it's like the levels of Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battles Extreme Z Awakening. For those who don't know, characters that are like, 5-year-old characters that get Extreme Z Awakened become characters that like would have been released in the past few months. They become absurdly powerful. Now, I'm not saying that I want, like, V1 Lucci to become a tier 0 legend. I'm not saying that. But to make him a viable option as a captain in content would be awesome. And even updating their special to make them more modern would be a nice touch as well. As I said, I don't want them to be tier 0 broken units, but I want them to be usable in content, because there's so many legends out there that are just awful. So I really hope that characters are much, much better with this level limit break system. But that is it, guys. That's the breakdown of all of the news that we have right now for version 12.0 coming next week. Very excited for it. If you guys are excited for it as well, let me know down below in the comment section. And if you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to go ahead and leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But on that, guys, I will see you guys within the next video.